Hello everyone, my name is Sahil, faculty for Ethics GS4 at Tathastu ICS. In today's session, we are going to discuss GS4 ethics paper that was held yesterday. In this session, we'll do a trend analysis, we'll see the difficulty level, and also we are going to discuss the questions that were asked. Also, we'll see that how many of these questions were directly solvable from the classes and notes that we have given here. Let's get started with the session. First of all, before we move in this particular session, let's analyze a certain basic aspects. First of all, when GS paper number 4 is concerned, we see this thing that the pattern of GS4 is different than GS1, 2 and 3. In GS1, 2 and 3, there are 20 questions that are asked, but GS paper number 4, so we find that in section A, there are 6 questions which are subdivided in parts. There were 13 subparts, and section B, that is the case study, it also has 6 questions, but it is divided in the subparts. So here we had 20 subparts. In total, we have 33 questions in the GS paper number 4. So question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now all the questions had 2 parts in section A, but question 3, it had 3 parts, that is the ABC. This is generally the quote based question that is there, and every year we see from past few years, there are 3 questions that are being asked from the quote based category. So in total 13 questions. And when we talk about the case study, so case study 7 and 8, it had 4 subparts, and then question 9, 10, 11, 12, it has 3 subparts. So in total 20 subparts here, and in total 13 subparts we have here. So we got 33 questions in totality here. Now further moving on in this particular direction, so let's discuss the weightage of different units when the ethics is concerned. So in ethics, we know this thing that there are total 8 units that we have. 7 units are theory section A, and the 8th unit is case study. Now unit number 1, that is the ethics and human interface. Unit number 1, that is ethics and human interface, we find that questions worth 40 marks were found from this particular section. We'll be discussing that also. Then from attitude, we don't had any direct question, though indirect application of attitude will be there in some of the questions, but direct question on attitude was not there. Aptitude and foundational value, there was one question, 10 marks. Then on emotional intelligence, again, no direct question was there. Yes, indirect application will be there in certain aspects, but no direct question on emotional intelligence. Then philosophy and quote. So the standard has been followed. So every year now we see that 3 questions are coming from the quote and philosophy section. So I am putting it in the philosophy section, that is unit number 5. So here 30 marks questions were there. Then administrative ethics. So within administrative ethics, I have included unit 6 and unit 7 both. So from both these 2 units, there are 5 questions that are passed, that is the 50 marks, and then 120 marks case study as it is asked every year, it was also there. So this was the total allocation unit wise in terms of the marks. Now next, what is the difficulty level of this particular year paper? Now 2022 last year paper, it was believed as considerably easy. So where this 2023 last year paper, so this year 2024, where it stands now. First of all, when the difficulty aspect is concerned, there is a lot of subjectivity. What you call, what I call difficult might not be difficult for you. So if we little bit put it in objective manner, then the difficulty could be on 2 bases. Number one, when section A, when section A is concerned, so what are the questions which are little bit difficult? These are those questions which are deeply opinionated questions, which are not directly coming from any keyword or directly not coming from any one specific unit. Deeply opinionated questions which will require some illustrations. Let me show you example here. So here I have a question. This is question paper of 2022. So there are these 2 questions that you have. Both questions look lengthy, but one of a question is opinionated, but one question is directly from the syllabus. Now you see, first of all, let's read this particular question 1B of 2022. Question says, apart from intellectual competency and moral qualities, empathy and compassion are some of the other vital attributes that facilitate the civil servants to be more competent in tackling the crucial issues or taking critical decision. Explain with suitable illustration. Now this particular question is directly from the aptitude plus foundational value. Empathy and compassion are directly given in the syllabus, and the question wants you to elaborate on these 2 particular values in the context of civil services. Not a difficult question, directly it could be attempted from your syllabus. But if you read this particular question, now the question reads, wisdom lies in knowing what to reckon and what to overlook. An officer being engrossed with the periphery, ignoring the core issues before him, is not rare in the bureaucracy. Do you agree that such preoccupation of an administrator leads to travesty of justice to the cause of effective service delivery and good governance? Now, many number of times we see that the civil servants, they are just caught on the fringes. They just are caught on the basically nitty-gritties, hairlines of the law. They don't understand the spirit of the law. It leads to the travesty of justice. It now you need to explain it, but with the help of some examples also you have to give. Now, this particular type of a question where you need to give opinions on the basis of some illustration. So I will put this particular question in a category which will come in moderate to difficulty level, but you, because you cannot directly attempt it from your the notes, etc., you have to do some thinking part. So when we talk about such deeply opinionated questions, how many questions we got this year? So we got 5 questions. So in total, 50 marks worth of question from section A were from this particular category. Here I am putting 3 questions that are from quotation, 3 questions from quotation, that is question 3A, B and C, and 2 questions, that is question 4B and question 5B, needed that particular thinking part. So this is about the section A. 50 marks questions we can put in this category, and then the question was moderately easy. Other questions were moderately easy. Then further moving on, what about the case studies? So when the case studies are concerned, so in case study, there will not be this such thing that you are not getting the answer of the case study or you don't have any idea of the case study. These things usually don't happen. So case studies, they become difficult because of 2 things. Case study become difficult because of 2 things. Number one, many number of times there are so many subparts in case studies. There are so many questions that they are asking in the case studies that you will not be able to complete your paper on the time. Maybe 1, 2, 3 subpart you will leave, or because the case studies are so lengthy, you will not be able to give that particular substance. This is not the problem because you don't have content, because you don't understood it. This is because of the content. This is because of the fact that the case studies are very lengthy. Now, case studies become lengthy because of 2 things: subparts, many subparts, and secondly, a lot of fillers are there in the case study. They are so lengthy that reading it once might take 1 or 2 minutes. And in case if you want to read a case study twice, a lot of time will just be wasted in just reading and comprehending the case study. Now, let's analyze the case studies on this particular aspect. So if we see the pattern in past 3 years, how long are the case studies usually? So in 2022, the case studies were 2452 words. Now, approximately 5-6 words might be here and there. So 2452 words were there in 2022. Approximately 1810 words in 2023. So case studies were not lengthy. Okay, around one third length has been reduced. Now 2024, there were 1879 words that are there. So in terms of 23-24, now 23 paper was easy, but it was 23 paper was easy. So here we find that no such drastic changes there. Secondly, when we talk about the subparts that were asked in the case study, so 2022, this was the year when there were exceptionally long case studies that were there. 26 subparts were asked. Last year, only 15 questions were asked in the case study, 15 subparts. This year, we have 20 subparts. So the case studies are relatively more lengthy compared to last year, and number of questions being asked in the case studies are relatively more. Okay. So in this particular term, we find this particular thing that the paper was lengthy on the part of case study. On the aspect of opinionated questions, more opinionated questions were there compared to 2023. So from 23, paper was a little bit difficult. I'll call it as a moderately difficult, not too much difficult, moderately difficult. Now, let's move on and let's discuss all the questions. So we'll be discussing the questions and we'll also see that whether we discuss this particular questions in our classes or not. So first question that we have, question number 1A, what it reads. So question number 1, that is the question number 1A. So question 1A says the application of artificial intelligence as a dependable source of input for administrative rational decision making is a debatable issue. Critically examine the statement from the ethical point of view. Now, if you, so in our classes, now this particular question is taken from the Applied Ethics GS paper number 1, Dimensions of Ethics. So within Applied Ethics, in our classes, we discussed elaborately on the AI, issues with AI, UNESCO's Global Agreement on Ethics of AI, which 193 countries signed, then Global Partnership on AI. What are the problems in AI? All the things we have already discussed. So the question is a direct hit from the classes. However, let's see what we need to write here. So basically, today we see that artificial intelligence, just a minute, let me zoom it out a little bit. Yes, so today we see this particular thing that artificial intelligence is revolutionizing healthcare. It is also revolutionizing governance, and it is revolutionizing almost every facet of the life. So AI, it is revolutionizing governance, decision making in public in administration. Now it has both positives as well as negatives. First of all, when we talk about the AI has a lot of benefits in administrative decision making. So how we are going to approach this particular answer? Guys, see this particular thing. First of all, we'll be writing a introduction. In introduction, what we'll do? We will be talking about the AI as how AI is contributing in all the aspects of life, including the governance and public administration as it is happening in India. Then what we'll do? We will directly be hitting the demand of the question. Now, what is the demand of the question? Question says critically examine the statement from ethical point of view. Critically examine that AI has what is the impact of AI. So we'll be writing positives of AI, then we'll be writing negatives of AI in governance, and then we'll be concluding this. So this is going to be the broad outline of this particular question. Now, when the benefits of AI in administrative decision making is concerned, so it can bring the data driven efficiency. Now, in order to make schemes, policies more effective, we talk about the evidence-based decision-making approach, EBDMA, evidence-based decision-making approach. And here, AI with the help of data can help us to go for evidence-based decision-making approach. And such thing can enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of the decision-making. Then second thing is that reduction in human bias. Second ARC report number 4, it provides that the biggest reason for the corruption is the human arbitrariness, human discretion in the decision making. Now human discretion can be removed by the inclusion of technology. So artificial intelligence can automate the decision making, and by that human bias can be reduced, and as human bias can be reduced, effective delivery of services will happen, corruption will be removed. Third, speed and accuracy. Now, artificial intelligence can make decisions with a lot of speed. A lot of menial processes can be eliminated with the help of AI. So, governance will become more objective. Governance will reach to the vulnerable sections. Corruption will be eliminated, and the speed and accuracy will come. But at the same time, there will be certain challenges also. There are certain challenges also that we have. Now, what kind of challenges we have? So also government is using the AI, for example, Bhashini software, that is the National Language Technology Mission. So AI is being used here for the translation. Now, concerns that are there. Number one, lack of accountability. If artificial intelligence in governance makes some faulty decision, then who will be held liable? How that particular thing will be rectified? In the case of a human, we can pinpoint that particular error to a human and we can rectify that thing for the future. But how we are going to do it in AI? Then there can be the biases in algorithm. Now, biases might not account for a particular section in the society. And this particular thing has even been highlighted. It has even been highlighted that, for example, we find this particular thing that for example, when we talk about the global front, India and China, they constitute 1/3 of the global population. But in the AI data sets, I am talking about the global data sets, only 3% of the images that are used in the Google Brain, they are of Indian and Chinese people. It means that the global data set, they have less representation of Indian people, Chinese people. So when you will make decision on the basis of AI, what will happen? There is a possibility that it can commit mistakes because in data sets their representation is less. Same thing comes here also. That these algorithms, they might be biased. The data sets of certain groups might not be properly represented. It might lead to problems. Fine. So decisions might be taken against the marginalized groups, against the minority communities. Then transparency and explainability. So often AI operate as black boxes. A lot of decisions they give, a lot of output they give. We cannot explain that why a particular type of output it gave. How you will explain the working of AI and how you will convince the people that AI based decisions are objective, particularly the people who are not digitally literate. How you will explain them? This is going to be a problem. Then erosion of human dignity. Now, when AI will be used for decision making, it will go purely for cost to benefit ratio. When it will go for purely for the cost to benefit ratio, it will focus more on efficiency. And what might happen? It might dehumanize the administrative practices. Now, often there is a human touch that is needed. There is a soft touch that is needed, but that soft touch, human touch might go missing when you focus too much on efficiency. So these are all the challenges of AI in governance. So when we talk about AI undoubtedly can enhance efficiency, can bring objectivity in decision making, but it should be used to complement humans. It should not substitute. It should not replace humans. So only under the oversight of humans, AI is to be used. AI is to be used. So this is about this particular question. Now, moving on to the next question, that is question number 1B. So question 1B says that ethics encompasses several key dimensions that are crucial in guiding individuals and organization towards morally responsible behavior. Explain the key dimensions of influence human actions. Discuss how these dimensions shape ethical decision making in the professional context. In the professional context. So, what ethics ensures? Ethics guides the individuals and organizations. Ethic guides individual and organization towards morally responsible behavior. Now, first of all, uh, so in our notes, the first topic that we have is it is the introduction to ethics, and there we already have discussed that why to be ethical, what ethics promotes in human life or society. So again, the question can be solved easily, solvable question. Let's discuss it. Let's discuss it. Now, how to start this particular question? So first of all, in introduction, what we can do? In introduction, we can simply start by giving the definition of a keyword, that is ethics. Okay. So now, if we talk about the introduction, so here we can start with the quotation. So Potter Stewart, what he says, ethics is knowing the difference between what you have a right to do and what is right thing to do. Or second ARC, how it defines ethics. Even this definition from second ARC you can use in introduction. Second ARC report 4 says ethics is a set of standards that society places on itself and which helps guide behavior, choices and action. So what both the definitions are saying, both the definitions are going in line with the questions premise. What question says? Question says ethics encompasses several dimensions that are crucial in guiding individuals and organization towards morally responsible behavior. So ethics is telling you what is right to do. Therefore, ethics is guiding you towards morally responsible behavior. Fine. Okay, so we'll be complementing it with the definition. Again, I'm saying one thing, only definition you need not to write. You need to write a definition and then you have to attach that definition. You have to complement that particular definition with the premise of the question. That is, you'll say, according to Potter Stewart, ethics is knowing the difference between what you have right to do and what is right to do. And by this understanding, ethics guides individuals and organization towards morally responsible behavior. Crisp, short, to the point introduction. Then we'll go in body. And we'll say how ethics, what dimensions of ethics shape ethical decision making. Okay, how ethics shape ethical decision making. So number one, ethics helps in the realization of duties and responsibilities. Often duties are ignored, responsibilities are ignored, but an ethical person will realize its duties and responsibility. And when everyone will do the duty, what will happen? It will lead to dharma based society. It will lead to the dharma based societies. And when the civil servants realize their duties and responsibilities in professional context, they can deliver services effectively. Okay. So again, what is the question? How these dimensions, ethical dimensions, shape ethical decision making? Second, when ethics is concerned, ethics inculcates desirable values. Ethics inculcates desirable values, and these values also guides a human as well as guides the civil servants. For example, values such as empathy, compassion are inculcated by ethics, and these values guide the civil servants, and they are able to cater to the vulnerable section of society. Then third, ethics, it provides the needed tools to resolve ethical dilemmas. For example, ethical theories, ethical frameworks, deontology, consequentialism, virtue ethics, they help in resolving the ethical dilemmas. In administration also, a lot of ethical dilemmas they develop. For example, environment and development. Suppose there is a multi-purpose project is to be constructed in a river valley. Okay. Now, development is more important or environment is more important? It is a dilemma. Now, that dilemma can be resolved through the ethical frameworks, ethical theories, deontology, consequentialism. So, these are the ways that ethics is guiding individual, ethics is guiding a civil servant. Okay. Then, particularly if we talk about ethics, ethics guides public administration, governance, lawmaking. How? How? When we talk about the ethics, okay, first of all, this is just an additional point. You see this thing that ethics has always been associated with moral governance. We have one example, Yudhishthir. Yudhishthir, because he was righteous, through his righteousness, he governed the kingdom and was able to bring a lot of prosperity in the kingdom of Indraprastha. But at the same time, most prosperous society that were there, when ethics declined and corruption came, these societies declined. Okay, and here we have example of Roman Empire. Even Edward Gibbon said that if I have to give you one reason for fall of Roman Empire, it was corruption. So when ethics is not there, governance will decline. When ethics is there, governance will improve. So therefore, ethical frameworks help the administrator. How specifically they will help? This is just an additional point. Fine, you will not have a space to write it in the examination. Just I'm telling you. Now, we find this particular thing that ethics will help in realization of Gandhian ideals, Antyodaya, Sarvodaya, Ram Rajya. Ethics will guide civil servants. Okay. So again, I will just bring you back on the question so that you know that we are on the line of the question. What question says? Discuss how these dimensions, that is ethical dimension, shape how these dimensions shape ethical decision making in professional context. So ethics can help in realization of Gandhian ideals, Antyodaya, Sarvodaya, Ram Rajya. Ethics guide civil servant towards constitutional morality, which at the end of the day will deepen the democracy. Okay, fine. So many points we have in this particular direction, but these 4 or 5 points will be more than sufficient to write our answer. Then moving on, next question.